Today on the news and why it matters, Lindsey Graham is investigating Joe Biden and Ukraine. Let's see if he will finally uncover any stones that we've been uncovering here on BlazeTV for a while now. Also, an FBI agent is in trouble for allegedly altering a document that ultimately led to the FISA warrant on the Trump campaign. Got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's Friday. It's finally Friday. I felt like I was going to possibly jump off a bridge yesterday after hearing impeachment hearings and the debate between all of the stupid Democratic candidates and then another impeachment hearing. So I'm really glad it's Friday and we have beer. I'm joined today by Stuber Gear.
Good, fair and balanced open there.
Yeah, yeah.
Really solid. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the facts.
Yes.
I know.
Pat Gray and YouTube host Eric July. Thanks for being in studio, as always, and trolling Stu with your Dallas Cowboys gear.
All the time. Every time after a win, I make sure that...
You are always welcome here. And I mean, wherever Stu sits, I would like you to just be in his eye line. That would be preferable. Got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Black Rifle Coffee Company. I love Black Rifle at our home. I also love that they have a batch that is actually double caffeine, which is what we need here working in this industry, because the work never stops and we always need to be caffeinated. So Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran owned and operated, and they have premium small batches, roast to order for people who love America, which is obviously you. The best way to enjoy this freedom-filled coffee is to join the Black Rifle Coffee Club. Now, here's the cool thing about Black Rifle Coffee Club. You choose the amount and the blends that you want. They've got a whole bunch of different blends in there. Like I said, my favorite is the one that gives you double the caffeine. And they give you a special discounted price. They ship it free directly to your home or office every single month, so you will never be without your coffee. You're not like, at the end of the day, you're like, oh crap, I gotta run to the store to have coffee in the morning. No, they're gonna ship it directly to you when you need it. Throughout the month of November, for each coffee purchase, Black Rifle Coffee Company will give a bag of their limited time offer holiday roast to troops overseas to be delivered by Christmas. So you get good coffee and you also get to do something good for the troops. That's a win-win. You got to go to blackriflecoffee.com/news. If you enter promo code news, you will get 20% off your first order of any coffee products. That includes the coffee club. That's blackriflecoffee.com/news. Enter promo code news. Also, by the way, I highly, highly recommend their coffee cups. They're like super awesome and sturdy and durable. All right, so Lindsey Graham just yesterday sent a letter to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo requesting call summaries or transcripts between Joe Biden and former Ukraine President Poroshenko. Graham tweeted out, he said, "Today I sent a letter to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo requesting documents related to all of these things." He also included Hunter Biden in there, and he said any other Obama administration officials. Stu, do you think that this is going to finally be the domino falling that sets this domino effect of us actually talking about the real facts and things that are taking place in Ukraine between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, or no?
I mean, it's possible, I guess. I'm not overly optimistic that they're going to really look into this stuff.
Why would that be?
I don't know. Every bit of history. Just other than that, though, nothing. Looking at this and you see this sort of evidence that's come out. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit on radio earlier today. There was one of the big claims that this is a big conspiracy theory is that one of the investigators over there said that he got a list of do not prosecute, names that you should not prosecute in Ukraine. And then the guy who said that, no, actually he withdrew that claim. All right, well, that sounds like a pretty good argument, right? Probably didn't happen. Well, when you actually read what he said, first of all, he says, well, they didn't give me a list, I just wrote the list down, which is kind of the same thing to me. Like, it's really not about like who wrote the piece of paper. Right. It's really more about, but the other thing is we have a letter from George Kent, one of the guys who testified this week, that is from him to people in Ukraine saying a list of people you shouldn't prosecute them. We're very disappointed. This is not the way we're supposed to be doing things. And, so it's another person who testified this week instead of the one that was initially named. Is this your big defense that this is not a conspiracy theory? And I think that's it. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of this, but any effort to get this past the idea that it can be dismissed as just blatant conspiracy theory, I think is good. And when you look at the Senate hearings that will eventually come up after they surely will impeach the president, I think, in there is the chance where Republicans get to make their case and they get to bring these things up. Mm-hmm. And, if there's something there, which it certainly looks like there's a lot of documents supporting it. If there's something there, that can be part of this conversation, and I think it should be, because if you just look at one side of this, you're not going to get the full picture. And the American people, I think, generally speaking, kind of come down to their teams a lot. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like, even people like Eric, who's wearing the awful Dallas Cowboys stuff. You go down to your teams, but that is what it is. It's like jerseys, right?
Yeah. Sadly, it's not supposed to be.
I know. I think the more information we have, though, hopefully there's a chance that people look at things and choose the right side, which would, of course, be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, God. No, okay, you're done. You're done here. Pat, you haven't been on the program at all this week. What's your takeaway from all of these impeachment hearings and how what Lindsey Graham is doing might play into it?
I wish somebody would give Lindsey Graham a link to the Blaze, or maybe YouTube, where you can get it for free and you can watch all 3 hours of it's actually all 3 specials, but about 6 or 7 hours.
Glenn will never be withheld to 1 hour.
It's
impossible. He can't say hello in less than an hour. So there is so much information in those 3 specials that I can't for the life of me understand why they haven't picked up on it and run with any of it. And if you don't believe us, look at the documents for yourself, do some investigating for yourself. All the legwork's already been done for you. It's right there. Just enjoy it.
And did you see that he was trending on Twitter last night because there was a graphic that showed George Soros with puppet strings, and they were like, Glenn Beck, the anti-Semite.
Oh,
Glenn Beck.
I did see that.
You did?
Yeah.
I did see that. I saw it this morning.
But that's just a perfect example of
Don't
someone.
you love how George Soros represents all
Jews?
All Jews.
How puppets,
Jews in the world
are somehow synonymous. Puppeteers more so are synonymous to
every single graphic of any sort of puppeteer has to be anti-Semitic. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, and yet media matters, man.
I mean, I love that argument too. It's like, first of all, Glenn won the Defender of Israel Award
which is what I brought up last night. I was like, oh man, all those anti-Semites winning Defender of Israel awards.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It was presented to him by Benjamin Netanyahu. Who may be
another corrupt person.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, you might not like the guy, but he's certainly not an anti-Semite. And then, it's so funny because there's this thing, and this goes to every identifying characteristic, right? If you criticize a Hispanic person, then you hate Hispanics. If you criticize a woman, then you hate women. If
look at the squad. Ilhan Omar. You can't criticize her without being attacked.
For some reason, the left expects that in every group gets complete immunity. You can't criticize a person within this group
unless you're straight.
Right. Unless you're straight and white.
Male.
Right.
There you go.
Or of course, if you're going after conservatives, because what's the thing about George Soros? If you're going to make it into a thing, like, we absolutely have to have the right to be critical of one of the largest Democratic donors in the world, right? Like, this is an obvious thing that a conservative might not like his policies, might not like the way he's using his influence. Of course, we have to talk about that. We're not supposed to talk about it because he's Jewish. Who cares? When we talked about Soros for months before I even knew he was Jewish, it's not even part of the picture. The only reason I knew about it is because they started saying we were anti-Semites, which is like, wow, how the hell? How could I be anti-Semite if I didn't know? But beyond that, let's go and
look back. That's a really lazy anti-Semite.
A terrible one. And Glenn is the worst anti-Semite of all time because he's terrible at it. He won the Defender of Israel Award, but not only did he win the Defender of Israel Award, he won the Defender of Israel Award that is also named after Sheldon Adelson. Now, Adelson is one of the biggest Republican donors who is Jewish and is criticized all the time by the left. So it's completely okay for them to do it because they get immunity from all these terrible accusations. I mean, it's lazy. It's not something a serious person could possibly believe. Yeah. Yet here it is, and it'll trend on Twitter because that is the level of intellect. It's a lot less than 142 characters or 280 or whatever the hell it is now. It's about 2 characters, and it's Media Matters, so they do what they do. But it's pathetic that people still keep buying this crap.
Yeah, once again, Media Matters, we welcome you to watch the Democrats' Hydra. It is, as Pat said, available on YouTube for free. If you want to run your mouth, maybe you should go ahead and know what you're talking about. Eric, what's your impression of just the impeachment hearings, how they've gone this week? Do you think anything's going to come?
Well, it's been just
into this?
exhausting because obviously it dominates pretty much every single headline. So I think a lot of stuff that happens even at the state and local level just kind of gets buried because this is what we're discussing. This is the most important thing. That's it's the headline. No matter what news, major, minor, doesn't matter. Everybody's talking about impeachment. But to piggyback off what Stu said, it's good that, well, hopefully, regardless, out of all of this, that we get information that's out there. Doesn't matter who, well, I know the people that are presenting it, they actually care who they can throw under the bus, if you will, by presenting this information, but at least from the Joe Blow individual that just wants to analyze it. Hopefully, with all of this stuff coming out, we can just see what's going on instead of it being presented like it is now by one side, dealing with Ukraine. Can we somehow make Trump the bad guy here? That's what's being presented. And as always, I think anytime you're dealing with the federal government, it's not just a dumb, it's a rabbit hole. You know what I mean? That you go down and you'd be surprised who's going to have to get caught in the crossfire if that's the rabbit hole that you choose to go down. And quite often it may not even work in their favor, because by bringing this up, maybe it exposes guys that are on their team. And that's what I've been looking at it from that standpoint. I'm actually hoping that's the case because that'll give me some way to be like, I've been trying to tell y'all this, it goes down on it's not just one side when it comes to this, when it comes to being corrupt in the federal government. So that's what I hope. I mean, that's being terribly optimistic about it all, but I just hope that the information gets out there. I really honestly don't expect people to just be like, okay, well, wait a minute, somebody else was involved in this as well that may be part of the party that I support. I really don't expect they'll even acknowledge that, but at the very least, hopefully people see that it's something that's going down on multiple different angles of this, and we can all look at this and be like, well, this may be a little silly. You know what I mean? Not even just that, but how much power we put in the presidency and influence we put in the presidency, just all together.
Yeah. Pat, do you think that we are too tribal? Are we too far gone that even if all of this Ukraine stuff actually came out, the mainstream media covered it correctly, we had, evidence that there was corruption in Ukraine linked to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, all of these things that Glenn is saying is true, it comes out in mainstream media. Are we too far gone? Are we too tribal to even care?
Yeah, feels like it.
Yeah.
Feels like it to me. But beyond that, the information could get out there in a better way. I think the Trump administration has played this terribly.
Awful.
Really badly. I mean, he called into Fox News this morning.
Yeah, that was rough.
And talked for, half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that, and was still hammering on things that have kind of been discredited. He did try to call in on my show, but we were playing more on trivia. We told him to call back next hour. So we weren't able to speak with him, and maybe we could have set him straight. But it's hard to understand for me the tack the White House is taking, and there are certain things that would have put an end to this, I think, a while ago, and that's that. Yeah, I told them that we're going to delay the money, the aid to them, until they investigate corruption, which was coming from America in the national interest. If he would have played that tack from the beginning, I don't know if we'd even be here now.
Yeah.
But he is at least saying that he wants a trial in the Senate, which I think there should be at this point.
And McConnell's office did confirm that they're not going to do a quick vote on just dismissing it.
Really?
They are now saying we are going to go ahead with
Okay.
it. And look, there should be a trial. I don't want to establish a precedent that they don't, the Senate can just blow it off if the House impeaches.
And Republicans will control it this time.
And they'll control it, and they'll have a chance to get their information out.
That will help.
Yeah, I think so. And their approach has been, I would totally agree with you. I think their approach has been a disaster. Largely because Trump has existed his entire life with one very consistent pattern going back to his days as, a real estate guy in the 80s, which is to say everything that you have is the greatest thing of all time and never move off of that position 1 inch.
Right.
So when you say
Perfect
you have a
phone call.
perfect phone call, we're talking about moving tactics to say, it's not like you're admitting you did anything wrong, but you have to be able to put it in a perspective that the American people can understand. I think anybody could look at this. The man's about to get impeached. The phone call was not perfect. No matter what you think it was. Yes, it's a partisan activity, and agreed. And I don't think he should be impeached over it. We've talked about that a lot. But that being said, if you can't move off of that your call was perfect, how are you going to make a nuanced argument about whether quid pro quo is a beneficial thing in foreign policy? That's not where he is.
Right.
And I think the people around him want to make that argument, and he's just like, I can't. My policy is I don't give an inch. This has been a policy that has happened for 50 years, and what it has done has made him president of the United States. So I can't imagine he's going to change it now. But in this sort of situation, I think it does hurt him. But beyond that, without a really clear thing, Donald Trump on the phone saying, look, I don't care, the money's going to be withheld unless, you're going to need something to that level, because people aren't going to have their mind changed. They're just not going to have their mind changed unless it's super, super clear. You see it occasionally, like when some Republicans turned on Roy Moore because they were like, well, he might have been touching little kids. There needs to be a pretty big thing for people to kind of change their minds in this sort of environment. And as much as I think what Glenn's done has been really important and it's informed a lot of people, a 7 hours of special there's just not enough of attention span for people unless they're really thirsty for knowledge to find that stuff. And a lot of people aren't.
And it's complicated.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they stop. If it's not told to them in 90 seconds, they've stopped listening. All right. An FBI agent reportedly being investigated for allegedly altering a document in the Trump campaign aid probe when we come back. Also, if I could just never hear the term quid pro quo again, I would be so happy.
Thank you, John.
Hey, before we get back into it, want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com. If you are looking to buy or sell your house, especially if you have a job that's relocating you to a completely new state and you're like, I have no idea where the neighborhoods are that I'm going to feel safe and want my kids to be able to play outside without someone calling CPS on me because I let them walk the dog down the street. You got to use realestateagentsitrust.com. Now, Glenn founded this company, and it's basically a matchmaking service for your real estate agent and you. So we've got all of these real estate agents all across the country, and these are the top real estate agents in your area or the area where you're going. They are going to get you the best deal, get you the most for your money, and more importantly, they share your values. So you know that, when you're dealing with them, they're going to know the neighborhoods that you guys are going to feel comfortable in and feel safe in. They're going to know, you don't want to live next to the guy who's like Breaking Bad, who's making meth. They're going to know that already.
Unless you want access to meth.
That's true. Then maybe you just tell them, I want to be next to Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad, and then they'll know where to put you. You can go to realestateagentsitrust.com. All you got to do is fill out a simple little form and hit send, and then a real estate agent will be in contact with you very shortly. That's realestateagentsitrust.com. So apparently, now, gentlemen, brace yourselves. CNN actually reported this, which it's bad. It's really bad news when CNN is actually reporting on this. An FBI agent is reportedly being investigated for altering a document, possibly in the probe of the Trump campaign aides. According to the report, Inspector General turned over evidence of the altered document to federal prosecutor John Durham, who is, of course, doing an investigation in this now. The document, this is what we know, the document was altered in a, quote, substantive manner, but it is unclear whether it would have changed the origin of the FISA probe. And details of this allegedly altered document are going to be included in this IG report that we're supposed to see at the beginning of next month, at the beginning of December. Now, of course, CNN's spin was, well, this report is obviously going to help fuel claims from the allies of the president
I bet
that the
Republicans
FBI
pounce on this one. They always do. Republicans pounce. That's what they do.
I mean,
They probably should pounce
they
on
should right now, right at this particular moment.
Yeah, and
they
Durham
should.
is like really super highly respected by both sides. He's a relatively unimpeachable source, so it'll be interesting. I mean, I think that one of the things that the defense of Trump and Republicans will be is to say, well, like maybe you didn't like what the president did over here, but like look at all the stuff that was going on over here.
Right.
Everything's kind of dirty here, so you might as well pick the person whose policies you like more. Look how good the economy is, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a strain of argument that I think can actually sell to the American people, and it's probably a halfway decent strategy, separate from what right and wrong. Just like strategically, it's a pretty good idea, right? Show the other side has a lot of these same problems, which is completely true, and it's I would argue much worse on that side much of the time. But this whole thing kind of comes down to the foundation of all of these problems. And Eric, you brought it up. It's like if we could get to a place where we understood what the role of government was supposed to be in our lives, which was almost nothing, right? Then these things don't make a difference. There's corruption. Well, who cares? There's not enough money that it makes a difference, and
They don't have enough power.
and they don't have enough power to change our lives. Instead, we're constantly surrounded by the sort of aura of politicians and personalities in Washington, and it not only screws up our government, but it screws up all of our lives. I mean, it's not supposed to be the thing dominating our lives, and so often it does now.
Yeah, Eric, it would show what you were saying earlier is both sides are doing it.
Oh, absolutely. And corruption from the FBI, who would have thought? But no, like seriously, that's to me is the angle that I've been taking with a lot of this that's been going on, is for people just to reanalyze how powerful these, these agencies, whatever, ABC, doesn't matter, how powerful these agencies are, how intrusive they are, and how more so they can be abused to get whatever end game that it is that they push for. It's true that, yes, ideally, government would be as small to the point to you don't even notice that it's there. But that's not the case. And this is the one positive thing that I could say, just in the information age with social media, as much as I hate it sometimes, is that information does spread very fast, a lot faster than what it ever has. So I'm hoping that, and again, me being optimistic, is that people start to wake up and see that, what's going on. And instead of trying to get, let's say, their guy to control whatever position that it is, or be in whatever position of power that it is, we get rid of it, because people should be, after these two, I would think, if anything, out of these two recent presidencies, people would see like, okay, because a lot of people, I know I was warning people, the whole Obama situation. It was like, you keep giving these guys more power. Once the team switches, it's going to be used against you.
Yep.
And that's the angle that I've been taking, and that's the angle that I hope people just start to approach it, as a lot of these different stories not just come out, they're able to be spread. Everybody's head is glued to their TV, their phones, their laptops, computers, and what have you, and they can see this stuff, and they can see that these things are taking place in so many different mediums or whatever they choose to consume. So I hope people realize this. It's not just coming from one side. It's coming from several different angles, several different sides, and this is what happens. This is the danger of having these major, very powerful agencies.
Yeah, Pat, last word.
You couple this with the Strzok and Stu's wife Lisa Page situation, and you see that this kind of stuff has been brewing on the other side against Trump for a long time, and so maybe there'll be enough of this information and evidence to come out that people will finally start paying attention to it.
All right. Well, we will see. Back in a minute.
You're like Googling Lisa Page, and you're going to see if this is my wife.
Hey, before we go, if you want to hear more from our friend Eric July over here, he has, as we mentioned earlier, a YouTube channel. Would you tell them where they can find you?
Hit me up, Young Ripper 59. That's YOUNGRIPPA 59 on YouTube. That's been my channel since I was 16 years old. And
Wow.
Growing. Obviously, my podcast, For Canon's Sake, is live on all major digital platforms, so they can go check me out there as well.
I love that. Yeah, and every time you're on the show, there's always multiple comments on YouTube that are like, "Is that Young Ripper I see?"
A lot of people they see me talk about like all the pop culture stuff. And they're like, wait a minute, he talks about this stuff too.
You talk about video games, pop culture. You can get it all at Eric's YouTube channel. Also, we're doing overtime next, which if you don't have BlazeTV.com, you're not going to be able to see it. Yeah, you might be listening to it on podcasts, but don't you want to see our bright and brilliant faces? on TV. Don't you? This is a good sell, right? BlazeTV.com promo code news will help if you want to see us.
Yay! Do it!